Thank you. So I don't have to go here. Okay. I have feel like I have 5 mics on me, but I'm fully mic'd here. So I'm Deborah Greene, and I brought TED to Woodstock 2 years ago, and we are going into our 3rd year, which is very exciting. So today we wanted to give you a sense of what goes into it, what goes behind it, and also let you know what's going on for next year. One of the things that people always ask me, yeah, they do. They ask me, why TEDxHartlandHill? That was during that, what is it? If not farm to table, it's the ballet to table or ballet to farm? Farm to ballet event. And I don't know how I got that picture just at the right moment. But that little girl is climbing up at Billings, and right above it is Hartland Hill. So when you start with TED, normally what they do is they ask you to name it after your town. And I bet you if we had a town like, I don't know, give me any name, like Plymouth or whatever, they probably would have given it to me. They said that Woodstock had its own kind of panache and, and so they wanted to see what I'd do before they would give me the Woodstock name. So we are 2 years into it. Hopefully we'll get the Woodstock name as we move forward. We've been doing really well with TED. It's the same thing that happened with Portsmouth, New Hampshire. They started being named after a hill, and then after a couple of years, TED gave them Portsmouth. So that's where that name comes from. The very first year was right as we were getting out of COVID. And I grew up in the area in the sense that I had a second home here. I was one of the lucky ones that was from Boston, and we had a home here, and we spent all our time up here. So I've been around since the 60s here, and we lived on Hartland Hill. So I came back. My mom's been in Quechee for years, and I came back right before the pandemic, and I really wanted to do something on community. What is community? It wasn't just us that was going through that in Woodstock. It was communities all over the country were reforming themselves after and during COVID. They became different, and they needed to understand how to work together. So the first year we did it on what is community, and that was what we came up with. Home, heart, hearth equals community. And that's kind of become our line moving forward, because I think that's really what we are as a community as well. This was our first year, 14 speakers, 8 from Vermont, 2 from New England, 4 from elsewhere. A really wonderful crowd of people, and please go to our website and take a look at the videos. We also had a closing night, adding some music to it. Has anybody seen a caribou? Yes, she is absolutely magnificent. So that was a really beautiful night. Going into the second year, we wanted to kind of expand and say, okay, now that we've gotten out of COVID, how are we going through life? So we did the art of living. And we had a wonderful group of speakers. And this was our promo for that year. We keep getting more and more sponsors, which is wonderful, and thank you very much to Billings Farm for hosting us the last couple of years and being a partner of ours. It really makes for a special TED, and a number of people have said that. There's something really unique about being there and what that's like. I know there's a number of people here who were here last year, so it's important that we expand as we move forward. one of the things that I really want to do is continue to bring people to the area who are just world-class, as well as to have people from the area have an opportunity to create their own TED Talk. Creating a TED Talk really gives you a vehicle to get your words out into the world. And there are so many people in Vermont that are so deserving of having a platform like that. So it's a really delicate mix. We want to bring in the people that are really interesting and then pull from the community the people that are really interesting. So this year we expanded. We had Avi Friday night. He had all of those interviews in the New York Times right when it was happening. It was when Congress was trying to decide whether they were going to release all the information about what's in space. So he was very fascinating to speak to us. And here's another example, potentially. Zarina comes all the way from Siberia. And to hear her musical ability was absolutely fascinating. She did a TED Talk, but then she also came out the next day and offered us a concert over at East End. So we were able to bring in people who weren't at TED to be able to see it elsewhere as well. It's like she can make noises of the entire forest and the wind and music simultaneously. It's wild. Please watch it. She's absolutely breathtaking. It's almost shamanic, I would say, though she probably wouldn't. These are some of the quotes that we got. We have now been over 250,000 times our videos have been seen, which is pretty good for us just starting out. There's a couple that I'll show you as we move forward. And again, to be able to bring in people from the area. You're looking up there, that is Ligia from Splendid Bakes. That was like a beautiful, what was that? It was like a whole table, or it was like a bar. It was a cheesecake bar that you could go and put, I mean, boy, it was great. It was fantastic. And again, our volunteers are critical, and we could not do anything without them. So if you're interested in volunteering or being a part of it in any way, I would be, from the bottom of my heart, very grateful. It keeps us going. This was a really dynamic one that we added, and thank you to the Roush Foundation. I really wanted to bring in teachers, and the only way to make it work when there's 100 seats is the price has to be, it's $100, and it's for the entire day, and it includes the afternoon, it includes a bunch of things, but it's not necessarily within reach for everybody. So we did tickets for teachers, and we allowed teachers to come to us and say, I want to go, and give them a free ticket. And we gave, how many tickets did we give out? We gave out almost 40. It was like 37 tickets. And that's a great thing to do because the teachers, I mean, the base of TED is ideas worth spreading. And who's going to spread better ideas than teachers? So we need to get them involved, and therefore, through them, get the kids involved. I want to show one video. We have, 23 now. But I wanted to give you a sense of at least one TED Talk before we move on and tell you about who's coming this year, and also have you answer some questions with Adrian, who went through the process with me. So this is Robert Sturman, and he is a photographer, and I will let him do the speaking.
About a decade ago, I was invited into the United States prison system to document the growing yoga and meditation programs going on the inside. Years later, I realized everything I need to know about photography, I learned in prison. The camera is a perfect excuse to pay close attention to others and for others to feel acknowledged. It occurred to me that it didn't matter if I was working with someone on the beach who would appear on the cover of a magazine or a human being serving a life sentence. The common thread that I noticed is that we all want to be seen, respected, appreciated. No one in prison ever asked to see the photographs that were inside of my camera. It didn't matter. What mattered was our connection, the trust, and our shared humanity. I also learned of the immense power of the photograph to shift perceptions and evolve humanity in a more positive direction. When I first started to go into the prison system and make these photographs of yoga and meditation and then share them with the world, very few people knew that was going on the inside. But photographs have a way of spreading the news, and they evoke an emotion within us. And when we feel, we remember. And the idea that the photograph carries integrates with the culture and eventually becomes the new normal. A conversation I had with a warden in a California prison would unexpectedly inspire my career tremendously. Warden Coco Salinas invited me into her office after I spent the day working with the inmates, and we spoke about many things that day, yet I'll always remember her saying, "I noticed that the guys who do the meditation and yoga make better choices. I also make better choices when I do these things." Those words from the warden sent me off on a global journey, photographing anyone and everyone, anywhere and everywhere, using the poetic language of yoga to tell an incredible story of human beings all over the world in pursuit of being better at being human. Over the years, I traveled with my camera to Chicago, New York, Asheville, North Carolina, Mexico, Havana, Cuba, London, Florence, Rome, the Netherlands, Bethlehem, Palestine, Caesarea, Israel, Agra, India, Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, Sukhothai, Thailand, Nairobi, Kenya, to the foothills of Mount Kilimanjaro. As I photographed so many different people around the world, I noticed something truly remarkable. My work started to remind me of the stories artists have been telling throughout the ages, pointing towards the magnificence of the human spirit. You see, if our civilization was to be destroyed, and 1,000 years later, these photographs were discovered by archaeologists, I believe that they would be deeply moved and they would wonder, who were these extraordinary beings, so connected to themselves, connected to the earth, reaching, longing, praying, opening their hearts to the heavens, slowing down, going within, taking a moment to find stillness in this life. It doesn't matter whether one has ever done, heard of, or even seen yoga. This is the most beautiful language I could find as an artist to tell a story of sincerity that can be felt universally, uniting people and places across cultural divides. from doctors, surgeons, house painters, electricians, farmers, flight attendants, Grandpa, my Amish friend Mary, schoolyards across the globe, even the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, and the Marines, and of course, the Coast Guard too. Everybody's doing it. Because in the world we live in, all of us need tools. Like, not tools, but certainly not limited to meditation and yoga that quiet us and slow us down so that we can process life. Firefighters. They see things human beings should not have to see. Police officers as well. Did you know that a 2019 study found that police officers are at a higher risk for suicide than any other profession? More cops died by their own gun than in the line of duty. Veterans, another group of individuals who need the tools to process the enormity of the things that they've seen and experienced, like war. The suicide rate for veterans in the United States of America alone is heartbreakingly astronomical. They need more tools and support. The veterans I've had the honor of working with, who are devoted to a healing practice, are rebuilding their lives, processing their trauma, and learning to live again. The first time I worked with 5 branches of the military together, I was starstruck. If you told me when I was a student at the Art Academy that one day cops, soldiers, and people serving time would be some of my most treasured models, I would have definitely thought you were off your rocker. Not only have they become my collaborators in the creation of art, they have become my inspiration, my teachers, and many have become dear friends, including people serving time. I want to see this. Look at that smile. Let me tell you who this guy is. Retired United States Navy commander who now devotes his life to teaching meditation and yoga to the military community. When I was photographing aboard the Intrepid aircraft carrier, hearing Commander Kenneth Bingham shout out yoga poses and talk the yoga talk to hundreds of folks on deck was a surrealistic, mind-blowing, monumental moment, truly, which led to this monumental moment. It took a lot for this cover to happen. Permission had to come down from the Department of Defense to publish an active duty service member in uniform doing this extremely weird thing called yoga on the cover of Yoga Journal, an international publication. The world is changing. My work is not a fantasy about a better world somewhere else. It's paying attention to and focusing on the awesomeness of the world we live in today. And also shining a light on people and places that are often overlooked and misunderstood. My time photographing at the Braille Institute deepened my commitment to connecting and sincerely caring about the people I was working with. I was profoundly touched by the generosity of the blind yogis who allowed me to see them and make photographs with them. Photographs that they themselves could not see. While working in a prison, women's prison, outside of Nairobi, Kenya, I was struck by the realization of most of the women there living with HIV. I was struck by the realization that I never know when a photograph I make with someone could be their last. The late Tao Porchon Lynch. I met Tao when she was only 93. Our work together would spread across the globe, carrying messages of inspiration, hope, and that it's never too late. Check this out. Here's Tao at 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 100. You want one more? 101. So much beauty. We can never point enough to the exquisite beauty of our world. Each time we make a photograph, we have an opportunity to complement life. Before I go, since I am a professional photographer, I'm going to leave you with a tip that I am confident you will always remember. Every photograph I've shared with you today, with the exception of this one, in which the practitioner is bowing to the earth in child's pose, has followed a very simple formula of being on others' level and never looking down on anyone. Let me give you an example. Here's a picture of my dog Otis. He's an animal testing survivor. Look what happens when I take the time to be on Otis's level and see him as an equal. When we see others with respect, they feel seen. And our cameras, our phones, that are always with us, are brilliant excuses to pay attention, to compliment, to celebrate, and reflect back the beauty and the vast potential of the human spirit.
It's beautiful. Part of the magic of the day is how it's programmed. so that you have one experience that leads to another experience that leads to hopefully an aha. And not that I'm programming the aha, that's up to you, but the idea is by the end of the day you're satiated with things that are unexpected. And especially this coming year. Really? Are we doing that again? Okay, there we go, rest. Especially given this year, September, we don't know where we're going to be as a world and as a country. And I wanted to make sure that we did something that could be a respite from everything that's going on. A reminder that the world's pretty awesome and that there are beautiful things that can unite us. So this year, I decided to do awe. A-W-E, awe. And what I'm looking for is every single speaker is going to leave you breathless in some way or some kind of new idea of the world. And it's a nice task, and it's very exciting. And we also welcome people to be involved with it because last year we had a wonderful advisory group, and we'd love that to happen again. So I'm going to let you know about some of the people that we already have. This is Trina Mary. She's known around the world for her work as a body painter. And yes, there are bodies painted into this picture and up on the bridge. She's also taken 5 bodies and made them into a Fiat for a Fiat commercial. She's done amazing things. She's painted people into the Mona Lisa and major works of art, as well as into beautiful areas of the world. So she's coming and speaking, and I'm checking out some of the local ordinance because she offered that the next day she would do an installation, and somewhere in Woodstock she will paint into some landscape a group of models, which will be quite the thing to see. But her experience is vast, and what she may say, I'm really interested in. This is Corey Knights. That's real. That's her and her husband in the water. They started Wild Aid, and now they have a new fund called Wild Africa Fund. She has literally raised hundreds of millions of dollars and has saved many, many animals from extinction. The work they do is mind-boggling, and the things that she's seen as well. This is Moses Pendleton. Does anybody know Momix? Or how about Palablis? Started as Palablis and became Momix. He actually is a son of Vermont. He was raised here and then went to school at Dartmouth, and they were athletes, and they were very interested in the human body and what it could do, and they are a major force in movement, and it's spectacular. This is in their 40th year. So again, it's about having the blend. You know, we've had Leon, so we've had clergy. We've had the dean of the Carter Institute. We had a beautiful mother and daughter team talking about the mother's issues with mental health and how they brought that into the family and healed, even among her mental health, the two of them together. Absolutely beautiful. We also had a gentleman who does work in Palestine and Israel, and he works with kids, young adults, many of whom were at the festival, and he gave a speech about the work that he does bringing Palestinians and Israelis together through technology exactly 2 weeks before October 5th. So this is the fun part. It really is interesting to watch it and to see and have the experience of what goes on stage, because it's not what ends up being in the can and what you see. It's a little bit more complicated than that. This is Bon. Here's an example. She's somebody who had a lot of problems getting through. They specifically ask that my speakers don't use any kind of, what are they called? teleprompters or anything like that. You have to memorize it. This was a couple of clips that Bon put together for us.
And I've never memorised anything in my life other than my phone number when I was 7. That's not an achievement because in the UK back then, yes, 779. Not impressive, it was 3 numbers. No, that's not it at all.
No, I'm just loving you. That's all.
I thought you were disappointed.
No.
I'm not mad at you, Bon, I'm just disappointed. That was what I thought. And that's when I will, after this, go to my room and I will stay there until I've thought about what I've done, and I won't come down until I'm really, truly sorry.
So impressed by you.
Hold on. I keep cocking up. I love you too, though. Can we save the emotion till the end,
Yeah,
please?
sure.
Hold it together.
So there's a bond that builds between what's going on stage and the audience and all the audience members as well. The thing that's interesting, worked very hard to edit this thing together, and it's pretty seamless. And hers is going viral. So far, it's got 100,000 views. It's about body neutrality. And it's really quite fantastic. I mean, you could see her personality anyway, even in her issues as she was going through. So I'm going to sit and have a conversation with Adrian, who worked with us. And you can ask questions. He's here for that.
Hi, Dan.
Hi. The Art of Impermanence. I have one little clip of you.
At this point, felt non-existent, and I was having a hard time finding the inspiration to start back up. And then COVID hit. And when COVID hit, something switched inside me. And I felt this need to contribute something. I saw the essential workers and even the people at the supermarket who were selling us the last roll of toilet paper on the planet. And I thought, I want to contribute something as well. But all I had to offer was the ability to make a drawing, which, unless you're using it as a substitute for toilet paper, is not going to help very much. I had an aha moment.
I came to him and asked. He was not one of the ones that put in an application. By the way, there were 120 applications for 6 spots last year. So, but I came to him.
Which I appreciate very, very much.
Do you?
I do. It was a transformative experience on so many different levels.
Okay.
But yeah, it was an honor to be recognized by you as someone who you might want to tap to try out doing TED Talks. It's you only get one chance, so try, hopefully succeed.
What was the process of coming up with the story for you, and then just walk us through a little bit of the process, and then. Okay.
Well, when you came to me, I think it was you were thinking town smiler. You're thinking, okay, this guy's kind of known for making public art. So that seemed like I should probably try to tie that into the whole thing. And the theme that I kind of settled on was the impermanence in general, but impermanent art is sort of a vehicle for that. But it's not as though I didn't have a presentation that I had been working on or a thesis that I had really been working on. I had just been working on impermanent art. And so it gave me an opportunity to stop, reflect, and kind of formulate, find the narrative thread
throughout what I just had been doing, which was pretty interesting exercise. People do that, I guess, all the time if they write a memoir or something like that. But they usually take a long time to do that. And
You have 18 minutes.
I had 18 minutes, but I felt like I also had 18 minutes to prepare for it, which isn't true. You gave me plenty of time, but I had a busy summer. I took my son to Europe. I had, chalkboards to draw and children to give books to downstairs, So it felt like, okay, you got to pull this together really fast. It was also the flood summer, like there was a lot. So, but taking the opportunity in the moments where I realized, okay, focus on this, take some time. It was one of the more fascinating experiences of my life, I'd say, to really step back and say, okay, what is the narrative thread here? Because there is one. Pretty sure there is one. And hopefully it came through a little bit.
It was so much fun working with you as well, to kind of like explore the topics and hear where you were and be there for the process, which oftentimes, I'm not with all of the speakers, but I get to do that a lot. In the end...
You were great. You were a hand holder, but you didn't squeeze too hard, because I've definitely felt like I needed some guidance, because I hadn't done it before. I didn't know.
He was definitely one of those ones, if you squeeze too hard, you'd be gone. I knew that. So I was like, okay,
That's true. Yeah.
The balance with you. But in the end, you were very revealing about your own life, and in a way that was very, very touching. And I just want to ask, like, what was that like to be on stage and be that vulnerable to share some of the things and tragedies that have happened and how you've processed them in your life? What was that like?
I feel like the content of what I was saying, the vulnerable part wasn't difficult for me. I feel like once I had my thoughts organized, but that wasn't so hard. I'm kind of a sharer a little bit, if given the right opportunity. But I'm not exactly a performer, so that was difficult. I'm more of, if you're in your studio and you're drawing, granted, okay, I could draw out on the street sometimes, and there's an element of performance to that, but it's a completely different thing.
And what was it like being with all the other speakers? Because I know that
was so much fun.
Yeah, the speakers had a really good time.
The dinner at John and Wendy Spector's the night before was fantastic. The camaraderie around the whole event was fantastic. You really knew how to treat us all well. It was great. I mean, I was the local guy, so I don't know what the out-of-towners, I don't really know what their situation was, but nobody was complaining. Everybody seemed pretty happy.
The thing that's interesting for me and other people who work on this is we're so busy, but we're watching. And you can see that there's these bonds that are happening, that people are having really deep experiences, and I've heard that afterwards. I've had women, not just women, but like people coming to me in tears at the end and saying, I'm going to plan to do this every year. This is like my birthday present to myself. I come from New York. I come from here. I come from there. It's a dense day.
Yeah.
And it's a dense day experientially for the speakers as well. And I'm always very full by the end. It feels like, I feel like a teacher who's like let the flock go out and sit at the porch at the end of the night and go, wow, they're gone. But it's a very interesting experience to have on all sides, I think, for all people.
Well, you definitely held the space for everybody to have their experience, and you must have collapsed at the end of that whole thing.
I got COVID.
There you go.
I got COVID. Yeah, after I dropped the Penske truck off. So I want to leave you with something that I saw this morning, and this is the base of everything that I'm looking for this year. If you have ideas, please come to us. We're just opening up. We have these 3 people to kind of ground us, but, you know, we want it in many different areas, you know. We want to have that person who, you know, is a doctor and who goes in deep and goes wide. We want it all. I saw this morning, and it defines exactly where we're going for this year. And what we need, it's roomy. I sometimes forget that I was created for joy. My mind is too busy. My heart is too heavy for me to remember that I have been called to dance, the sacred dance of life. I was created to smile, to love, to be lifted up, and to lift others up. O Sacred One, untangle my feet from all that trap, free my soul, that we might dance and that our dance might be infectious. So that is a pretty good definition of awe and what we're looking to create this year. And anybody who wants to help, let me know. Let us know. And thank you. And I thought this was already gone through. Sponsors from last year to this year, I mean, it just grows and grows, and I am so incredibly grateful. Thank you.